I used to wake up believing the best days of my life had already happened. That warm side of the bed, the single red rose on the pillow. I thought those mornings would last forever. I was right, but not the way I imagined. Every morning he stood there in the kitchen, coffee in hand, turning toward me with that smile. Warm. Safe. Completely disarming. It never once looked like a weapon, until I finally understood what it was made of. 3 years. Laughing over ramen by the Han River, him catching me when I slipped on ice, my head on his shoulder watching the rain fall. Every single day, I chose him. I chose us. Late nights at the office, surrounded by documents and glowing screens. I built that proposal from nothing. He brought food and watched me work. I thought it was love. It was research. On that rooftop with the entire Seoul skyline behind him, he knelt and opened the ring box. I covered my mouth, tears already falling before he could finish asking. I said yes before the question was even complete. I showed Maya the ring, glowing with joy. She smiled, but her eyes didn't. When I looked away, she watched Ethan across the street on his phone, his face unreadable. In that private dining room, Ethan sat across from his father, shaking hands over a thick document. I only caught one word before the scene cut: acquisition. He had a plan the whole time, and the plan had my name on it. I passed the hotel lobby and froze. Through the glass, there he was, laughing with a beautiful woman in a pale dress, her hand touching his arm. My lungs forgot how to work. Who was she? That night I confronted him. He laughed softly, cupped my face, and said it was nothing, just an old colleague's sister. His eyes were so earnest. I almost believed him. Almost. He made me feel guilty for even asking. A man in a black turtleneck watched from the parking garage shadows. He took a photo, then disappeared into the dark. I didn't know it then, but some angels don't announce themselves. I fell asleep on the couch under his jacket. For 1 second, something almost real crossed his face as he looked at me, then it was gone. He picked up his phone and walked to the window. That was the last night I was innocent. I came home from work and found a plain white envelope taped to our door. No name. I opened it slowly, and the color drained from my face. The truth doesn't knock. It just walks in. There it was, the wedding announcement. Ethan and Yuna, smiling in the newspaper. 2 months ago. He was engaged to her the entire time we were together. Every single day. Maya didn't say a word when she arrived. She just wrapped her arms around me. I let myself cry exactly once, a single, broken sob, then I stopped. I had work to do. Maya showed me the article. Com Group was trying to take over my company. I had built the one algorithm that could stop them. He didn't love me. He loved what I had built, and he took both. A man I had never seen stood at my door holding a thick envelope. His voice was steady. "You need to see this," he said. For the first time in weeks, someone was offering me the truth instead of another lie. Photographs. Bank records. Conversations I had never known about. Daniel laid everything on the table. I sorted through the evidence with shaking hands that slowly became steady. The pieces of my destroyed life were finally making sense. When Ethan called, I answered with the perfect voice of the woman he thought he still controlled. Daniel sat across from me and gave one small nod. I smiled while my blood turned to ice. He had no idea the game had already changed. Daniel showed me the documents about Yuna's family land. She wasn't just the other woman. She was another piece on his father's board. For the first time, I felt something close to pity, but pity wouldn't stop what was coming. He took me to our favorite restaurant, laughing, touching my hand, playing the perfect fiancé. I laughed along while secretly recording every word under the table. His charm had once been my weakness. Now it was my weapon. At 2 in the morning, I rebuilt the code they thought they had stolen. Maya brought coffee without a word. Every line I wrote was another nail in the coffin I was building for the man who once held my heart. In his glass tower overlooking Seoul, Chairman Kong marked my company on the board like it was already his. Accelerate the acquisition, he ordered. They were coming for everything I built. They had no idea I was ready. In the hotel lobby, she smiled at me warmly and extended her hand. Yuna. The woman who was supposed to marry the man I once loved. My heart stopped. How do you greet the person whose life is also being destroyed by the same hands? They called me into the office, took my badge, and told me my services were no longer needed. I stood there in front of everyone and gave them nothing. They thought they had broken me. They had just set me free. I placed the ring on the kitchen counter one last time. The apartment we built together suddenly felt like a stranger's home. I picked up my small bag and walked out without looking back. Some doors you close forever. By the Han River at night, Daniel walked beside me. I can help you, he said quietly. The city lights reflected in the dark water. For the first time since the betrayal, I wasn't walking alone. In the lawyer's office, I watched him stamp the documents that proved my company had never truly belonged to them. I had protected the one thing they wanted most. A quiet smile crossed my face. The trap was almost ready. While I calmly told him on the phone that everything was fine, he sat in his father's office bragging that I still suspected nothing. 2 different worlds on the same night. He was celebrating. I was preparing. In the underground parking garage, I handed the sealed folder to the journalist. Print this when I tell you, I said. My voice didn't shake. The first domino was in place. Everything else would fall. Late at night, I found Daniel asleep at the desk surrounded by papers. I placed a blanket over him and stood there longer than I should have, watching his face. I walked into their engagement party wearing black. The room went silent. They thought I was broken. They had no idea I was the one holding the match. In that marble bathroom, I told Yuna the truth about the man we both loved. Her face shattered. In that moment, we stopped being rivals and became 2 women who had been played by the same hands. He grabbed my arm in the hallway and warned me not to interfere. His eyes were cold, threatening. I looked at him and smiled. He still didn't understand who he was dealing with now. Maya slipped into their world like a shadow. Every document she copied, every file she sent, brought us one step closer. She risked everything for me. I will never forget it. At exactly the right moment, my algorithm woke up. Their systems began to eat themselves from the inside. I watched the numbers fall and felt nothing but peace. We stood in our small war room and pinned the wedding day as 0 hour. Everything we had built, every late night, every sacrifice, came down to this. The trap was ready. The first cracks appeared in their perfect empire. Stocks began to slip. Executives whispered. I watched it all from the shadows and allowed myself one small, satisfied breath. Inside their glass tower, panic set in. Papers flew, voices rose, and Chairman Kong lost control for the first time. The machine I had built was working perfectly. The media storm hit like thunder. Headlines everywhere. Reporters at their gates. I stood by a newsstand and read my own quiet victory in black and white. Their stocks didn't just fall. They crashed. Red arrows everywhere. Ethan stared at his phone in disbelief. Everything they took from me was returning with interest. The boardroom descended into chaos. Grown men shouting, pointing fingers, falling apart. I watched the live feed with Maya and Daniel. We didn't celebrate. We simply waited. The streets filled with anger. People held signs demanding justice. I walked through the crowd unseen. Their empire wasn't just falling. It was being torn down. One by one, their allies abandoned them. Old friends suddenly remembered nothing. Ethan called every contact and found only silence. The isolation was complete. Arrest warrants were issued. Police moved in. The final blow landed exactly as planned. I closed my laptop and stood up. It was done. On the morning of the wedding, Ethan's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Bad news from every direction. I watched him unravel from a distance. The perfect day was in ruins before it began. The exposé went live. Every dirty secret, every lie, every stolen piece of my work laid bare for the world to see. I turned off the television. Justice had arrived. Chairman Khan was led away in handcuffs while cameras flashed. The man who thought he could take everything finally lost everything. I felt no joy. Only closure. I walked down the aisle in black while everyone expected a bride in white. Ethan's face at the altar was worth every single night I had suffered. This was my moment. I showed him the tablet with the live news. His empire collapsing in real time. He looked at me like he was seeing me for the first time. Too late. He broke at the altar and admitted he had once loved me. The words I once would have died to hear now meant nothing. I turned and walked away without a word. The news played on every screen, their fall, my survival. While the world watched the collapse, I quietly began to rebuild. The court ruled in my favor. My company, my algorithm, my future, all returned to me. I didn't cry. I simply nodded. This was always meant to be. Yuna finally walked away from the cage they built for her. She was free. We both were. Two women who survived the same storm. Ethan stood in front of cameras and gave a hollow public apology. I turned off the screen halfway through. Some apologies come far too late. By the Han River, Daniel walked beside me. He placed his hand gently on my arm. For the first time in a long time, I didn't pull away. I stood in front of my new team as we launched the company I had protected with my life. This time, no one would take it from me. Ethan waited outside my building, hoping for something I could no longer give. I took the back exit. Some chapters you simply close. Maya, Yuna, and I sat at breakfast laughing like sisters who had been through war together. We survived. We thrived. We won. In the quiet evenings, Daniel and I built something real. No schemes. No revenge. Just peace. The kind I once thought I would never have again. I used to wake up believing the best days of my life had already happened. That morning, reaching across a warm bed, looking out at a city that now held my future, I finally understood, the best days were just beginning.